You know, anytime a Diaz is involved in a fight, it seems like a lot of people talk about, well, he's a fighter's fighter, and he's not just a professional athlete, he's a fighter. Do you get annoyed by that talk at all coming into this fight? Do you think of yourself as a fighter?
I don't think if someone says Diaz is a fighter's fighter, they're not saying something bad about everybody else. Someone said Diaz is a fighter's fighter. If people love Diaz, they're not talking crap about BJ Penn when BJ was fighting Nick. It's not, you're not just because someone says something positive about one guy doesn't necessarily mean they're talking crap about another guy. I think in our society now, for some reason, people take it that way, but I don't think necessarily see it as that. But Diaz, Nate, and Nick, they're both fighters. I'm a fan of Nick and Nate. It's like the way they bring it, they're awesome. Like everyone, if you talk to all the UFC fighters, the entire roster, and you take a poll of who their favorite fighter is, more than likely, pretty sure you're going to get like an 80% chance of Nick or Nate being mentioned just because they love their fighting style. I love their fighting style.
Okay, I mean, I guess it's because like maybe his camp has talked about you being just an athlete and not necessarily referring to you as a fighter, as an athlete and maybe a points guy instead of a finisher guy. That hasn't bothered you at all in this lead up to this fight?
I mean, everyone has their opinion. You know, some people think that the moon landing wasn't real. There was no moon landing. That's their opinion. Who am I to say, oh yeah, your opinion is wrong, and you're entitled to your opinion. You can think whatever you want to think. You know, it's cool. I have no problem with you thinking that. If you think I'm a points fighter or I'm this or I'm that, cool. Sounds good. Let's go get some grub.
Yeah, different kind of talking in the cage from your opponent. He likes to trash talk. Do you think you'll be hearing some trash talk?
Did you have? Is it true that you had people in your camp that you were sparring with actually talk to you?
While you were doing yeah. All my training partners, FBS Udera, Joe Riggs. We brought in Daniel Madrid from down in Phoenix. They were all talking crap to me. It was weird. It was
Are you used to it now?
A little bit used to it. I think I got prepared for it, but at first it was just like, "What did you say to me, sucker?" Like what? Like we're in the middle of a fight, like we're in the middle of sparring, and like they just say, I'm like, "Oh, hey, okay, all right," and then just work on staying calm, staying focused, doing my game plan, not be concerned about, "Oh, your mom was so fat," like whatever.
Is that something that you think a lot of people fall into? They lose their mind, they lose their focus because
against the Diaz brothers, I think majority of their opponents do that. 9 out of 10 the combined Diaz opponents, I think, have done that. Only one who hasn't was been Carlos Condit, and you saw how that worked out. But 9 out of 10 times, like for some reason, like you're in the middle of a fight, you're fighting somebody, they say something, you're like, "What did you say to me? How dare you?" And then they get all mad and then throw a flying knee from 5 feet away. Why would you do that? And then the Diaz are good enough to capitalize on that and score from there.
Will you just keep your mouth shut, so to speak? You won't be responding?
I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out. But my goal is to keep doing my game plan and not get involved in that game.
And you can hear everything that goes on, despite the crowd and everything. You can hear that kind of talk from your opponent.
Oh, it's a pretty intimate setting when they talk. It's like I'm this close to the guy. Like he's like, "Hey, I'm going to like." You can hear.
Do you think that happened to Donald a little bit in that fight?
Yeah. I think they had before the fight, they had an agreement where they weren't going to go to the ground and they were going to keep it standing. That in itself is, if I make an agreement and then I get punched in the face like 17 times in 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts. And then for me to be like, oh, I'm not going to take you down, or I do take you down and let you back up. Like, nah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take you down and then beat you up, regardless of what we agreed on before the fight.
Is it harder than we might imagine? Because I don't know, just me personally, I would think if you're a professional fighter, you just ignore it. But it sounds like in practice it did take some getting used to, those guys talking to you.
Yeah, definitely took a little while to get used to, for sure.
Have you fought somebody before who's been kind of talked like that, or is he?
No, I've never fought anybody before who's actually like talked crap to me inside the cage or anything. I've never fought somebody who didn't really all your opponents only like you. But I've never fought someone who like especially didn't like me or talk crap or anything.
So you talked about how you like the Diaz brothers fighting, but what do you think about the whole trash talking thing? I mean, do you think
it is what it is? All of us fighters are emotional people or emotional guys. The Diaz brothers, they just show that emotion in a different way. To me, I think it's less about disrespecting their opponent than it is about getting themselves worked up. Like whatever it is you need to do to get yourself worked up, get yourself going. Okay, now I'm in my groove. If you need to dance, dance. If you need to flip somebody off, flip somebody off. If you need to do whatever, get yourself worked up, get yourself excited, get yourself in that zone. And the Diaz brothers, they do it a certain way. I do it in another way, But it is what it is. I don't think it's not to disrespect another fighter though. It's not to say, oh yeah, you are blah blah. They're just doing it just to get themselves in a zone.
So it's more about them than you.
Exactly.